Hi, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Proud to live in the greatest country in the world. Unfiltered opinions, no PC discussion here. Agree, disagree, hate it, love it, it's all good. Sit back and enjoy some unfiltered commentary. We discuss politics, culture, interviews, and more. Your comments are always welcome. Please help the channel by hitting that subscribe button. Doesn't cost a thing. And as always, thanks for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back. Liberty, prosperity depend on Georgia election. Boy, you said it. There's a lot at stake here, folks. This is the opinion piece by Steve Hecht, I believe his name is. On January 5th, Georgia voters will determine whether the United States has ruled by the people as the founders intended or ruled by the elites. Oh, yeah. With Joe Biden as president, Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, and Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker, the Constitution would fade into history. Yeah, this could be the biggest crisis in the United States since the Civil War. I'm not kidding. That's not an exaggeration. Schumer is perhaps afraid of a primary challenge to his Senate seat in 2022 from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He took to the streets of New York City after the election day and pronounced, "Now we take Georgia, then we change the world." Whether he means it or not is immaterial. He's going to do it, if he can. Democrat backing of the Supreme Court would be certain. Schumer's top deputy, Dick Durbin, he's another piece of work, said last week there clearly has to be balancing of the courts. What do you mean balancing of the courts? The vast majority of the courts are all left-leaning. Trump made the scale a little bit more even. See, that's the problem with these Democrats. When things are even, they consider a disadvantage. We are all pitching in every way imaginable to help the two candidates down there. They must be stopped. Yeah, I'm sure they're pulling out all the stops, and yes, they have to be stopped. If Trump fails to overcome the fraud against him last month and not gain a second term, he needs a Republican Senate to protect him from certain Democratic persecution. Yeah, and they will, and they'll go after him. And that will just fuel the Trump people even more. And it will convince more people that it's a personal vendetta and not for the interests of the country. The Senate would also safeguard his chances of success in a potential 2024 run. Also true. The country and the world also need a Republican Senate to prevent Democrats from imposing totalitarianism. The desired one-party government would end the constitutional republic. A Republican Senate can block the Democrats' radical agenda and expose them with oversight responsibility that includes subpoena power. To do this, Republicans must stay united now. Marco Rubio's Cuban heritage gives him insight into the totalitarianism of Democrats. He was the first Republican senator to travel to Georgia and campaign for the GOP ticket in the runoff. This is literally a showdown of all showdowns in terms of politics and what it means, Rubio said at a campaign stop in Georgia. Actually, over 4 years ago, when there was a whole bunch of Republicans in the primary with Trump, my first choice was Ted Cruz and Rubio, and then I eventually come around to Trump. He convinced me. Politico reports 70% of Republican voters do not believe the election was free and fair. Republicans are under pressure by fake news, big tech, and socialists that demand Trump concede the election. What difference does it make if he concedes or not? It's like saying at the end of the Super Bowl game, the losing coach doesn't concede. You still win. It doesn't change anything. It's stupidity. There's a legal process. Rhino senators such as Mitt Romney are quick to abandon the president. If Trump supporters were to feel Republican senators had abandoned Trump, they might set out the Georgia election and give Senate control to the Democrats. Oh, please, guys, down the Republicans in Georgia. Georgia has now become my favorite state. Please, people, please. I live in upstate New York, to give you an idea where I live. It does not help that Attorney Lynn Wood, referring to lack of Republican support, tweeted, "If not fixed, I will not vote in Georgia runoff. Will you? You're an ass, Lynn." This is self-destructive and must not become a narrative with Republicans. Donald Trump Jr. is leading a PAC for the Georgia special election. The PAC has an ad running this week saying his Fowler is on the January 5th ballot. Trump Jr. is right. Democrats, deep staters, and cronies will see Trump as the Republican leader even if he is out of office. The Biden administration, born of corruption and corrupt New York authorities, will pursue criminal charges against Trump. He will also face multiple civil suits. Trump is uniquely qualified by his wealth and business and government experience to endure the pressure of multi-court cases against him. That's absolutely true, too. He's not invincible, but he's damn near when it comes to court. You can pound him. You can't do like Michael Flynn and ruin his life and many other people that have been ruined by these monsters. In normal circumstances, Trump would prevail and win the presidency in 2024, but these are not normal circumstances. Prosecutions of Trump would almost surely fail under the current system, and persecution would be a better description of the new Democrat system. A packed Supreme Court would rule against Trump regardless of the law. How scary is that? How freaking scary is that? They pack the court, 2, 3, 4 more people, and then they go after President Trump. These people must be stopped. Totalitarianism. Large business interests, cronies, oppose Trump because of his America First policy. It clashes with their globalist policy that exploits cheap foreign labor at the expense of U.S. workers. Socialists call for work prosperity, but under collectivist largeness instead of individual empowerment. Yeah, you got that right. The cronies and socialists understand 4 more years of Trump's America First policy would set them back for generations. What a terrible thing that happened. He was cheated. It was fraud. Everybody knows it. Like everybody knows that JFK got a whole bunch of dead people in Chicago to vote for him, is why he won Illinois and one of the closest presidential elections in history. It's common knowledge. Yet nobody went to jail. Desperate to keep their power and pursue their policies, the criminal alliance committed multifaceted fraud, and they did. To have a Biden president, they must suppress the evidence, intimidate the courts and state legislatures. To preserve liberty, prosperity, and U.S. values, Trump must expose the fraud. For this, he will need Republican support. Some pundits have poised that Democrat control of the presidency and Congress will give Republicans the best chance to win in 2022 and 2024. That makes sense in traditional terms. We are no longer living in the traditional order. Democrats know their policies will prevent them from winning free elections. How sick is that? That your policies are so bad, so rotten for the country, that the only way you can win and push your agenda is not having free elections. Unbelievable what's happened. I'm 64 years old. I never thought it would be like this. I never really did. Having won by fraud now, they will double down on those efforts. They always double down every time they're wrong. It's worse when they win. Augmented by the control of the federal government, Republicans would not win another presidential election because Democrat fraud would prevent them from doing so. The fate of Senate Republicans, Trump, and the country are inextricably linked. And who would have thought? I mean, I'm not putting down on Trump. I'm a huge Trump supporter. Who would have thought that 10, 12 years ago that statement would be true? And it is. Republicans should support Trump's efforts to overturn the fraud, and Trump should campaign aggressively in Georgia. He's coming to the Peach State this weekend, and he would best return several times before January 5th. I know, Mr. President, I know you feel cheated. I know you're pissed off. I would be too. He's a guy who doesn't like losing. Well, nobody likes losing, but he likes it like least of anybody that I know in public office. But the fact of the matter is, there's still work to be done. Your agenda was started and it was stopped by a vicious virus pandemic that came from China. We were sailing right along. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then this bad piece of luck happened and killed over 250,000 of our people and gutted our economy. Gutted the world's economy, for that matter. This is a crisis worse than the Great Depression and the stock market crash of 29. Worse. But I believe personally, if the Senate can be the firewall that stops the whole building from burning down, which the Democrats want, that America in their system and our Constitution, we are the most, with that And that system, we are the most resilient people in the world by far. History has shown that over and over and over. But Georgia has to hold. It's so unnerving and so it gives you such anxiety that the fate of your entire country, the fate of your children, the fate of your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren falls on the voters in Georgia. Nothing against the people in Georgia. I'm sure they're lovely people. I've never been there, but I like the South anyway, so I'm sure they're just as nice. But how does that go? The Winston Churchill saying about the Royal Air Force? Never has so much been owed by so many to so few. This is exactly what's going to happen in less than a month. And until then, folks, goodbye and good luck.